you're watching Cricket Next and IPL fever is on. Well, IPL 2023 auction will be held on December 23 in Kochi, and we are all excited for it. But in today's video, we'll be talking about a team which has potentially the largest fan base. Whenever this team comes in, the stadium goes on yellow. People call this team by various names. Some people call it as Yellow Army, some call it as Dad's Army. And I believe till now you might have figured out that today we'll be talking about Chennai Super Kings. So CSK is such a big team that whenever it comes to play, people have very high hopes. But in the last season, in IPL 2022, they didn't perform well. And what were the reasons of that? We will discuss everything in detail and how they can overcome all those mistakes in this auction and this season. We'll discuss everything in detail with Akash Biswas. Hello, Akash.
Hi, Suramya.
So, Akash, CSK, as I said, it's a really big team, because people have their feelings attached with Thala, MS Dhoni, and every time, when it comes to the stadium, team comes to the stadium, it's all yellow. Most of the times we have seen that it's all yellow fever out there in the stadium when this team comes in. But last season in IPL 2022, we saw that the team didn't perform well. What do you think were the key reasons for it?
First of all, I will like to point out the auction. I think did not go their way because you see they missed out one of their star players in Suresh Raina. They did pick him up once again. That was one of the biggest surprise for the fans, and also. After that, they bid a hefty amount for Deepak Chahar, but unfortunately, he missed out for the entire season due to an injury. So all these finally added up to their playing 11 ultimately, because in his absence, youngsters like Mukesh Chaudhary had to take the responsibility, and he was backed by someone like Simajit Singh. So
Hmm.
these two guys were totally new to this setup, new to the pressure situations, and this entire setup of the IPL thing. Because though it's India's biggest tournament, biggest T20I league, but once a youngster goes down there in this field to perform, the pressure is always there. It's the heat can be compared to something like an international, to that of an international game. So that was the reason. And yeah, they also had the batters didn't fire at the right time, like they had Robin Uthappa, and in fact Rituraj Gaikwad wasn't in good best of forms. They had
Hmm.
not they don't had the services of Faf du Plessis, who was one of the match winners in just the previous season, who performed well for them. So all these missing players, one after the another, added up to their woes, and ultimately what we saw. And once again, we should mention, as we are speaking about CSK, like the leadership, the change in leadership. They
Hmm.
first took the field with under Ravindra Jadeja's captaincy. Then mid-season, the captaincy was changed. They were back to square one. MS Dhoni was once again in the captain's shoes. So all these things, I think, played a massive role in, because when a leadership changes, the dynamics of team also gets altered. And I think this team was more indulged in maintaining that balance rather than focusing in on their on-field performances. That's my perception. That could have been one of the reasons, and also some of the key missing players. So all these added up, and finally they ended up being at the ninth position, despite being the defending champions last season.
Absolutely. Well, Akash, you mentioned about, how things didn't go their way in the auction itself. It was mega auction last year. And, you mentioned about how teams are formed in such days, the auction days. But this time we also had this retention day where players were retained, some of the players were released. Now, when we talk about Chennai Super Kings, let's have a quick look at the players retained. Now, this also highlights the approach of the team because they finished on number 9, and as you mentioned, they were the defending champions, and finishing at number 9 wasn't good at all. Now, with these players retained, what do you think? What this does this reflect about CSK?
Well, once again, like CSK does in every auction or before any mega auction, they try their best to keep their core team intact. And if we see this team, then we will find that though they have released I think 6 to 7 players, but the number of players retained is enough to constitute a strong playing 11. If for say if we have a game tomorrow, then obviously a playing 11 can be formed out of these number of players. So yeah, it's a good retention, I would say. But at the same time, if we speak about the released players also, then those gaps needs to be filled when the decision makers sit down at the auction table on 23rd in Kochi. But speaking particularly about these set of players, then I think yes, the firepower is there, because you see MS Dhoni right up there, and players playing under MS Dhoni are already filled up with that confidence, with that zeal, because he is one of the wisest minds in this cricketing setup. He has been there for a long time, since the inception of this league, so he knows this thing in and out. And when he gets followed by someone like these players like Devon Conway, Rituraj Gaikwad has been in a impeccable form in the recently. He scored tons after tons in the Vijay Hazare Trophy. And then you got Ambati Raidu, we know, though he is not a usual face in the domestic circuit anymore, but he has that caliber. He is one of the hard hitters is in this entire IPL circle. And then they've got Moeen Ali, and we have seen Moeen Ali getting transformed from just a mere spin bowling all rounder to a number three batter. So that also adds up to the positive of CSK. Then we have someone like Shivam Dube, Ravindra Jadeja will be fit, we hope so. And so and in fact, and if we see the list of bowlers, there are a lot of I mean, see, firepower. Michel Santner is someone who doesn't get dropped. If in fact, by his in national team, New Zealand never drops someone like Michel Santner, and if each Sodhi is there with him, so he has that kind of caliber. And one thing more which was impressive about this CSK retention list, that they have shown faith in the youngsters they got on board. Like, I would like to mention someone like these guys, Prashant Solanki and Simajit Singh. All of them used to be net bowlers in the previous season, and coming, and just a season later they took a step ahead. The management took a step ahead and decided to give them that opportunity. And just they need to be, and all these guys are putting their nose on the grindstone in the domestic circuit. They are performing over there. In fact, we have Shivam Dube, who is a capped player. So yeah, all in all, it's a good team. Just we need to see how these players get utilized in the coming season.
Absolutely, Akash, because you mentioned about how this time they have shown faith in the youngsters. In my introduction, I was just saying that how people call it Dad's Army, because in all the previous seasons, we have seen that, they have been the senior players in this team. But it'll be quite interesting to see how they perform with the young players as well, especially Ruturaj Gaikwad. He has done really great work in domestic circuit. So it'll be very interesting to see how he performs in IPL. But let's come to the players, the ones who were released on the retention day. Big name, Dwayne Bravo. Nobody had anticipated at that point of time on the retention day. Later, obviously, it was known to everyone that he has taken the coaching role. But as I mentioned, CSK has always been this one big family. People associate CSK as a family, and they
Exactly.
find Bravo as a very, very big member of that family. So that was a very big announcement. Now, keeping in mind these two big players, Bravo and Robin Uthappa, what do you think? How wise this decision was, and also who could be their replacements moving ahead?
Well, you know what happens with retirements? A player take, obviously we know it is such a big decision, because it is something that because after that you are not going to be on the
Mm.
field as
Yeah.
a player. You will be leaving behind all those hard works, that has made you that kind of player. But if the decision taken at the right time, because a player only knows his pros and cons. He only knows that if his body is able to deliver that kind of results which he used to be, then it's a better decision to say goodbye to the game, so that the next generation could come up and they provide you that result. So yes, a very good decision by both, by Dwayne Bravo and Robin Uthappa, and especially by Bravo, because he is one of the masters of this game. I think it won't be wrong if we call him the greatest artist of this, T20 setup. And retaining him as in another capacity as a bowling coach, that's a great decision by this CSK management, because someone who has been associated with this team even before, when this team was banned for 2 years in the 2016 and the 17 season, then once again Bravo returned to CSK, and till 2021 he was there as a one of the integral members of the core team. So he has that kind of knowledge. He has a vast bank of knowledge to share with the upcoming youngsters. And the same thing goes with Robin Uthappa. He was, when he was in the KKR, he was devastating. He was a bit a bit little utilized by the Rajasthan Royals, but when CSK had him, they churned him, they used him like anything. And in return, Uthappa also gave them the desired results they wanted from him. So yes, uh, it was a great time they spent with the CSK camp. But now, what lies ahead is how management, goes down to find their replacements in the auction table.
Yeah, right. And in terms of, finding their replacement, there are three key names that, each and every team is looking at, not only CSK, because everyone's looking at to bank on Sam Curran, Ben Stokes, and Cameron Green. Now, I believe because Sam Curran was with CSK team before as well, so they might look into, get Sam Curran once again. What's your thought on that? Do you think that they will go back on Sam Curran, especially with the price money they have right now?
Yeah, because I think they have some a figure of 20 crores or something like that around in their purse right now. So
20.45.
yeah, so with that amount of money, they will, go berserk after Sam Curran, because he is an ex CSK, right? And if I'm not counting here Ben Stokes, because he will, uh, just set the auction tables ablaze, because each and every team will go after him, and especially the Rajasthan Royals, because they have already lost someone like a bowler like Jofra Archer to Mumbai Indians, and now when Ben Stokes is coming back to the auctions, they won't give it a thought that to lose him again. So that's why I'm not counting him in this race. For me, Sam Curran, and if we speak about Cameron Green as well, then yeah, we saw him performing very well in the India series earlier this year, but all in, if we see if we see it on a larger perspective, then I don't think he will get that kind of traction in compare as compared to Sam Curran and Ben Stokes. So for me, if CSK want to have a like for like replacement or somewhere closer to that, then it has to be Sam Curran.
Absolutely. Well, quite a lot many people want Sam Curran back in the team because we have been discussing it quite a few times right now in this discussion that, CSK has always been a big family and people have their emotions associated with this team. Well, let's see what will happen on December 23. All eyes will be on all the teams, but CSK especially, because there is one big name in this team and might be his last tournament. Who knows? So everybody will be looking forward to whether CSK will rope in Sam Curran or not, and how MS Dhoni's brain will work on the auction table. Thank you so much, Akash, for being with me. It was an insightful discussion.
Thank you so much.
So we were talking about what CSK can do on the auction day on December 23 in Kochi. Only time will tell, but till then you can stay tuned with us on our YouTube channel, that's Cricket Next, or you can also stay connected with our various social media handles, that's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For more updates, do subscribe our channel.